All right, so here we are going live with episode 20 of O'Reilly O'Reilly. So yeah, pretty excited to be doing this at Bob Proctor's Tribute Week, episode 20, and just such a I just feel so good that I found Bob Proctor when I did, and the success and the momentum and the feeling I have right now is very exciting. We've gone through several winters, I'll say, over the last few years, and spring is coming. And I mean that as an analogy with regards to the success I feel is right around the corner, and goal achievement, goal setting has been so key to understanding and becoming aware of my life and how I make my decisions. So stay tuned. Episode 20 of O'Reilly O'Reilly about to happen. Thanks. $11:59. Event is scheduled. Starts in 23 seconds. Got the background there. I've got my Calgary Flames jersey in the background, as you can see. Got my QR code for Next Level Solutions for the Bob Proctor Tribute Week. And 6 seconds. And here we go. All right, here we are live for another episode of O'Reilly O'Reilly. Things to think about. Welcome. This is episode 20, and pretty excited to have episode 20 for day 4 of the Bob Proctor Tribute Week. Bob Proctor has been such an important element in my life. It's when I was down and out, needing a change, I found Bob Proctor and have been studying with him for the past 4 years now, and it's changed my life completely. So pretty excited to be talking about that. Also, I've changed my agenda for today. It was going to be all around Bob Proctor and awareness and love, and I'll still be talking about those things, but I just had an interview for Next Level Solutions. I guess this QR code is for Bob Proctor's Tribute Week. Anybody that's looking for change, on the verge of discovering something about themselves, looking for the awareness of what might be wrong or right, or how to go forward. It's all about awareness. And I just had an interview for my Next Level Solutions around mental health with Mike Skripnik. His book is Unlimited Worth. He's an author, probably 8 other books, but Unlimited Worth. Mike was abused as a child and talks about how that affected his choices for 40 years. And then the transition moment, or what I call the heart attack moment, realization moment, for him, walking beside a river for a week, raging river, that he could have changed the rest of his life by, considering what he could do to end it. And that was a change for him. And he talks about it in his book, and he talks about the abuse he suffered, and then going through all the emotions of guilt and shame and being afraid to talk about it, afraid everybody would know and things would be, even worse. But coming to that point and then realizing, okay, I'm going to start talking about it. And Mike's created what he likes to call a cosmic ripple by creating a safe space for men in leadership positions, CEOs. There's a number of stats there that scared me. 1 in 6 boys. 70% of the leadership in these Fortune 1000 companies, 70% of the leadership are men, and 30% of those have been abused in some way, according to the stats, according to the numbers. And the leadership creates the culture, and sometimes it can be a toxic culture. And relating this back to leadership and the foundation of leadership, and you can find that so many places. They talk about love being the foundational building block for leadership. And leadership is all about making someone feel better about themselves. It's not about managing and manipulating people to get the job done. You know, that's one way, and that probably has to happen more in the mid-management or lower management style to get things done. But at the same time, if the leadership has love as one of the foundational blocks of its leadership program, and actually caring about the people that you're managing or mentoring and helping them become better versions of themselves, that's where the love comes in, and that's where the culture gets created. And that's how, you know, we can elevate and help people become aware that if there is trauma in your life, let it out. Let that, you know, admit that. And it doesn't have to be public, as Mikey mentions. Find someone to talk to about it, and you can certainly talk to Mike Skripnik. I'll link his connection. Let's talk about it right now. Mike Skripnik, skrypnek.com/unlimited worth project is his program. And he's creating a cosmic ripple by setting this up, being a part of the awareness campaign, more or less, to help men find a safe, not sure if he called it a safe space, but a risk-free space to talk about their trauma, to talk about things, to break that open. And as I'm thinking about it, and I've avoided this issue of abuse. Like, as I spoke to Mike for over an hour, I come to my own awareness. And I've been in proximity, I'll say, or as Mike described it, I've been in proximity as a kid growing up in a Catholic family, in a Catholic school, with the Christian brothers and nuns teaching us, living close to the high school, and being there for Sunday basketball, being there for Friday night if they opened the gym, you know, or doing something in there, being close enough on the cold nights to flood the rink that was out on the ball field in the back, you know, with one of the Christian brothers to roll out the fire hose and scrape it off and water it down, roll it all back up, and all right, see you tomorrow. Many of those opportunities, you know, in proximity, but never being abused, thank God. And when I hear about that now, because it was a few years after I had visited Mount Cashel on a basketball tournament, be billeted out for the weekend, it was a couple of years after that when the story broke about the abuse that was happening in the orphanage of Mount Cashel in St. John's, Newfoundland. And the Christian Brothers ran the orphanage, and it was just a horrible story. And when I hear about that and I think about that and I continue to see things in the news, it upsets me. It gets me angry. And I just kind of block that out and avoid that because I don't want to feel that. But in speaking to Mike about bringing an awareness to that, not only to the leadership and the CEOs of the world, like Mike is working with, he's also speaking through another group about awareness, and I wrote that down too, and I apologize. I'll get that. To kids, speaking to high school kids to make awareness. And for me, I'm a U13 basketball coach at the YMCA. And as I'm applying, I'm thinking, you know, you got to be careful not to be in the same room. You got to get a police check done. You got to go through that scenario. And I've thought several times as I was filling out the application, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I shouldn't be setting myself up. And I thought, no, my desire to coach kids and teach kids and help kids is far greater than the fear of being accused of something down the road. And what a horrible thing that would be. I certainly don't want to go there, but as a society, we're all kind of brought up with that fear too. So for me, it's now an awareness that I'm afraid of that, or I block that out. And in spending that time with Mike this morning in that interview, I so appreciate his awareness. We talk about the same things. His traumatic event cut deep grooves in his brain for beliefs and habits that he's created to protect himself. Because we all have, react versus respond, right? So when you react, that's your animal instinct to either protect yourself or just a belief that, okay, go this way, avoid that, go this way. And, going from that to being aware of, oh, that's why I think that way. That's why I believe that. That's why I've avoided this in this particular part of my life. That's why I've made those choices. The awareness of why, and then the strategies and tactics to create more awareness around that, and then take it step by step to complete and fix that. That's what Mike talks about. And he's got a list of strategies and tactics to set that up. And same with our program with Bob Proctor. We have a list of strategies and tactics to create the awareness, to create the step-by-step repetition pieces that can scientifically change your life. And as Einstein says, everything is energy. This is not philosophy, this is physics. So when you start to use your mind to think a little bit differently, it's 95% mindset, 5% strategy. And those are the things that Mike has created on a bit of a different line. But at the same time, if you're struggling, if you're coming up against something and you're trying to move the needle to the other side, to get on the positive side of things, say it's a negative vibration that you're emitting because that's all you can think about. Your dominating thought is negative, and you need to just kind of just tip it ever so slightly. It's a pretty thin line between negative and positive. So if you could just take it over the line to 51% positive, that's going to change everything in your life. That's going to change your attitude. And then now your awareness. You can't undo awareness. When you become aware of it, it's like, wow, okay, now you can change that one or two things that will change your awareness and then change your attitude. And your attitude you wear everywhere. And if you can change your attitude, those things create the quantum leap in your life. And a quantum leap for Mike was to, be walking along that river for every day for a week and think about things, and that dominating thought becomes suicide, and that takes him to the realization that okay, that's not the answer. And he says love was his savior. Growing up, he had a very loving family relationship with his sister and his dad and his mom. Like his mom nurtured and loved unconditionally and always. So he said, that became his savior. And then as he grew up, got married to his wife and had a couple of kids, same thing. Love was everything. Love was the family unit. And going through his trauma and getting on the other side of it, becoming aware of it, that was, the analogy that I've started thinking about as we're having that interview was a rocket getting ready to take off. That rocket will sit in its tower for however long it takes. In Mike's case, it was over 40 years. And that rocket was being built and tracks in your brain, thinking, beliefs, and habits that you create as a reaction instead of responding. you build the engine on that rocket, and it starts to fire, and eventually has enough power, has enough awareness to break open the doors and take off. And as that happens, it keeps building, 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 and finally it does that. And now it's free, and it's on its way to a new position, new whatever. But the awareness of coming out, if you will, was so important for Mike that that's what happened. It built up, built up, built up. Finally, it burst out and took off, and his life changed based on the awareness of what he was thinking. And he used a process. His first connection was to reach out to a professional, a lady that had helped him. And as he reached out to her, he heard about EMDR. And sorry, I've misplaced my notes almost. EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Now that's a mouthful, but that was a process that he spent about a week inside practicing EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And it was all about removing the emotion from the traumatic event. And he said that was his savior as well. So the love that he felt in his life and this particular process, EMDR, was what fixed it. And he didn't like to use the word fix, but that's a really good word to use so you get the understanding of it. And it's not always that easy, but in Mike's case, it has been, and he's spoken to numerous people that have gone through that process. So if that's something that is, that could help you, then check out Mike's book, Unlimited Worth, and find out about EMDR and find out where you can meet EMDR. I got the notes here. Okay, I guess I still don't have that note. Okay, so his book, Unlimited Worth, React, Respond, Creating a Paradigm. Now, let's change over to Bob Proctor. Bob, in his life, had a realization moment. It wasn't suicide, but his self-image was horrible. I guess he had a loving mother and family life growing up, but he just never really was good at anything. He couldn't pay attention long enough to focus on something. And he had 2 months of high school, kicked around on dead-end jobs, didn't really excel, was told, he's not going to do too much in life, and ended up at 26 years old being a fireman, meeting somebody that became a mentor and gave him a book. He was making $4,000 a year as a fireman in Toronto, and he owed $6,000 a year. And once this mentor gave him a book, the book was Think and Grow Rich. And he said, you read this every day and do as I tell you, and you can have whatever you want. Well, now Bob didn't believe that, but he believed that Ray believed it, his buddy, Ray Stanford. And he said, well, my way is not working, I'll try his. Within a couple of years, he was making almost $200,000 a year. And within 5 years of starting that book, he was making over $1 million a year. And he did it by cleaning offices. He started a business and became very successful at it, cleaning floors in the offices. He had contracts in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, London, England, and a few other cities along the way. And his idea of leadership was to help the people that worked for him. He didn't tell the janitors what to do. They knew what to do. He was coaching them and telling them what he's doing and helping them, be a mentor to them to better their lives and make them feel better about themselves. And with that, the success just kind of took off. So, that was the foundation of his leadership would have been love. And both Mike and Bob Proctor used that in their lives to create that leadership that they're creating. Love is the foundational piece of it. And in our business, we like to say it's 95% mindset, 5% strategy. So for leadership, if it's not working up here, you're going to constantly run into a block somewhere. You're going to have turnover in the company. You get to create the culture as a leader. And if the foundational piece is love, and that becomes part of the culture, and you're about helping people help themselves, then you're going to be very successful. And that will create, the mindset that you need. And it's 95% mindset, 5% strategy. So love being the foundational piece of that will certainly solidify the success, or certainly give it a good chance. So think about that as we just finished Valentine's, and as we just finished love of day 3 with Bob Proctor and Kim Calvert. And that's the QR code right here. So that was, the paradigm, as Bob talks about, creating those tracks in your mind of what you've been told years and years and years, the same thing over and over and over as a child, as you grow up through your family culture, those tracks that get etched into your mind. And in Mike's case, it was a track of abuse that got thrown in there, as well as all the love and the beliefs that he was growing up with and being told time over time over time, and what he told himself, right? So that becomes your paradigm. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's got bad pieces in there that need to be thought about and challenged. Are you a bad person because something happened to you? Or maybe you can sing, but in grade 2 or 3, when you were told you can't, you got to challenge that. And maybe you can sing. And with a little bit of practice, you'll find out that you can. A couple of examples, right? So becoming aware, as I mentioned, becoming aware that I push this away in the corner and I don't deal with it because it upsets me. I'm now aware of that. And it's just today, after my interview with Mike, becoming aware of that is a thing that I got to work on now. I want to make sure that the kids that are on my basketball team are aware. And I've got to learn how to speak to them about that, just to create some awareness and plant seeds in their mind that, be aware. It's not to create any fear, but awareness is going to be key. And if I can help one person, then at least I've done something to be a part of that cosmic ripple. And my big dream going forward is to create workshops for fathers and sons. And in doing so, create some real simple life skills inside of a 2-day workshop where dads and sons get to talk about health, wealth, and happiness. And some of that is this, react versus respond, creating a paradigm, being aware of how you think and how to control your thoughts and how to make choices. That would be the happiness piece. The health piece, well, mental health is just as important as physical health. And what you eat, what you drink, and how you eat and drink is just as important to know as how you think and how you can create a 95% mindset and a 5% strategy going forward, how important that number is. So that's my big dream, And I think Mike fits into that because he also talks about this to kids in high school and to the leadership community. So I want to take it probably one step further, talk to kids with dads, and then create that into whatever type of program we can create. So the Unlimited Worth Project, love was his savior, love, foundational piece for leadership. And as we talk about love, level of vibrational energy is how we talk about love. And there's a bit of a stigma around mental health. Well, there's a bit of a stigma around love too. You know, a lot of guys won't say the word love, especially if it comes to business or, you know, employees or talking to people or, you know, talking about love. You know, it makes you, you know, well, there's some stigma around it. Let's say that. But the more I've learned from Bob Proctor, and as I mentioned it to Mike, and talking about love being the foundational piece of a leadership program, and his savior was love, the love of his family. And then as he created his own family, he created that network, that strength of love with his kids and his wife, and they've got a very close family unit, which is a rock. You know, it's something you can depend on. So love is so important in all that. And let's talk about love. So yeah, that's how we talk about it. Yeah, so I guess connecting all that with what I'm doing, the awareness of being, I guess the awareness of blocking that out over my past, let's say 40 years. Not that I block it out, I guess, but in talking about this morning, I realized that, yeah, I just avoid that conversation because it makes me mad. Because it's just, it's being in proximity of all that and never experiencing it. I just thank the Lord for the protection, I guess, or whatever it was. I was just never in that position. I was just fortunate enough to never have been abused when there was plenty of times it could have happened. So just that awareness and just talking about it with Mike and realizing for me that now I need to talk about it as well to affect his cosmic ripple. And this is how it works. If we all start talking about it or being aware of it and we can help, then let's help. Let's step up. Let's make sure that, you know, if we're in charge of a group of people as a leader, then let's have some awareness around everything. Let's help. And if everybody becomes more aware, I think that'll affect the cosmic ripple in a good way. So thank you. Thank you for being a part of episode 20 of Really O'Reilly. And we look forward to episode 21, where I think now I'll probably have another story to connect, to let you know what's happening for the cosmic ripple and the awareness around that. So thank you very much for listening. Check out the QR code here for Bob Proctor Tribute Week, where 5 episodes of, well, not so much strategies, but just paradigm shifts, where those habits and beliefs that are driving your decisions and choices that are so ingrained in your mind that they all happen automatically and subconsciously, and you don't even know it's happening. You just know that it's a habit. This is how you think. We want you to challenge some of those. We want you to have a paradigm shift around some of the teachings that Bob Proctor has. And for me, it's been life-changing. And for millions of people around the world that Bob set a goal for, to be in every country of the world, and he achieved that goal just before he died. And what a great accomplishment. So the Bob Proctor program that's been created has a very rich legacy, and he's helped millions of people around the world. I'm proud to be a part of that. And just in speaking with Mike Skripnik of the Unlimited Worth Project, enlightening, and looking forward to kind of being a part of that cosmic ripple. So thanks again. We'll see you on episode 21 of O'Reilly O'Reilly next Thursday at noon, LinkedIn Live. Have a great day. And we're out. All right, so there you go. I got it done. All right, so that was episode 20 in Bob Proctor Week, February the 15th, 2024. Hope everybody is having a great day. Take care.